This week's video focuses on how to use your brain to create a life full of magic and amazing opportunities. Located in your brainstem is what is known as the reticular activating system, or RAS as I like to call it for short. RAS's role can be likened to a huge gatekeeper which screens out most of the incoming data from the environment you live in. The reason why it does this is that at any one time you are surrounded by 2 million bits of data, but your brain only has the ability to process 147 bits at any given time. Therefore, your brain only lets in or processes information which it deems as important and relevant. Everything else is screened out. Your brain focuses and puts its attention on things it sees as important and relevant to your survival and well-being. How does your brain decide what's important and relevant? The only way it can do this is to assess the external environment against what is contained in your long-term memory. This includes all your beliefs, experiences, and conditioning. This is its default system. So if you choose to believe that something is impossible, then even if it does exist, you will not see it. You do, of course, have the power to override this RAS default system with the thinking part of your brain known as the frontal lobes. This is as simple as choosing to put your attention and focus on what you want. Basically, what you focus on you find. Strangely enough, quantum physics tells us the same thing. Quantum physics tells us that at any point in time, all possibilities exist. And the moment we focus on one, the rest drop out of existence. Let me give you a couple of examples. A common one is finding car parking spaces. Have you ever heard or experienced yourself when you are convinced that you will find a car parking spot in a busy street, you do so? As this becomes a habit of your thinking and focus, you always seem to get a parking spot where others can't. Now, often people think that these parking spots just magically appear and that they have the Midas touch. However, the truth is that the reticular activating system is working in your favour. Because you are focused and believe that one is available, your brain kicks into action and your sight is activated to see opportunities for parking spaces. Let me give you a couple of other examples which will demonstrate the power of your brain to find and locate things. Some years ago, when I was working for a large international company, I had the opportunity to spend a few weeks overseas working on an assignment. During this assignment, I had volunteered to take notes on what needed to happen when we all returned to our respective countries. When I arrived back in Australia, I misplaced the notes, and as I was the only one who had a copy, I was in a bit of a panic. So I decided to apply the same concept I used to finding parking spaces and lost keys to finding these notes. Back then I didn't know about RAS, and just thought I had this ability to conjure up lost items. So within an hour of what I termed casting it out there, I decided to walk into my training staff's office and open one of the cupboards where we stored training books and other reference material. Sitting on one of the shelves was a stack of papers about 18 inches high. I placed my hand roughly into the middle of the pile of papers, and lo and behold, I pull out the missing notes. At the time, I thought I was an absolute genius. These days, I'm a little more humble and understand that it is my brain's ability to see and find things that I focus on. Now, you may be wondering how my brain did that. Your RAS works at an unconscious level. And remember, at any given time, we are surrounded by 2 million bits of data. But the brain cannot process that amount of information at once. I believe that at an unconscious level, I had observed these papers being picked up from my desk, along with other training notes, and stored in the reference cupboard. When my focus was placed on finding the notes, my RAS kicked into action and led me right to where I could find the missing notes. Let me give you another example. I would often talk about the missing notes and RAS in my mindset training. In one example, one of the participants on the program shared with me his story of how he used RAS after attending the program. He was at the beach and he noticed that this young boy was upset and crying. He asked the young boy what was wrong, and the boy explained that he had lost his good swimming goggles, and his mother was very upset with him. "No worries," he says to the young boy, "I will find your goggles." So he walks 100 metres up the beach, sticks his hand in between the sand and some seaweed, and pulls out the goggles, much to the astonishment of the young boy and his mother. Now, how did he do that? The brain has the capacity to see the smallest thing once you put your focus there. Do you think he could have found the goggles if he believed, like his mother and the young boy, that they were lost? I conducted a lot of mindset training with salespeople, and I also have numerous stories of how they would miraculously stumble upon unbelievable sales opportunities, and as a result, their sales would triple in size. To the uninitiated, it seems like magic, but it isn't. It is what your brain is built to do. I believe it is built this way because the reticular activating system sits in our most primitive brain, the reptilian brain. And RAS exists to find food, water, as well as detecting threats to our survival. So the question is, how are you using your reticular activating system? Are you on automatic pilot and letting your conditioned brain dictate what you see and don't see? Or are you taking matters into your own hands and focusing on what you want and then letting RAS do the rest? Have you ever thought that when you focus on other people's faults and weaknesses, you just see more of them and miss all their beauty, strengths, and talents? Remember, what you focus on, you find. And what about when you approach someone with a new idea or suggestion? What are you focusing on? That they probably won't like it, or that they will absolutely love it? If it is the former, you will find your attention drawn to all the signs that they don't like it, and miss the ones where they do. If it is the latter, you will be focused on all the signs that they love it and miss the ones that they don't. The fact is, in life, there is always a mixture of good and bad. And what you decide to focus on is what you will see and react to. All possibilities exist. You just need to decide where you choose to put your focus and attention, because it will decide the difference between an expansive, full life of amazing miracles and opportunities or one filled with drama and limitations. What will you choose?